Hey guys, welcome to 3 and Out. You can check out the podcast below in the description. And here's what I need you to do. Make sure you subscribe to the Volumes YouTube channel to stay up to date to everything we're doing here on 3 and Out and the Volume. I used to have a nickname for Urban Meyer for years, and I called him Fraud Meyer. I have never disputed, in terms of on Saturdays, coaching college football, that the guy was not elite at his job. If you put him at any of like the top 10 programs in America, he obviously coached at Florida and Ohio State, but if you put him at Alabama, you put him at LSU, you put him at USC, you put him at Texas, you put him at Oklahoma, he would kick ass and take names. A fantastic college football coach. One of the truly greats we've ever seen. 3 national championships, put Utah on the map, star head coach on Saturdays. But there is a big difference between Saturdays and Sundays, even though they're both football. They're dramatically different. Because on Sundays, everyone that you see on the field, all the players, all the coaches, and all the executives, the IRS knows about their paycheck. When I go to college football, especially at the highest level, the IRS does not know about all the payments that are going through the players. There's these things we call brown bags. And if you've listened to me for a while, you know I'm not anti-cheating. I consider that capitalism. I laugh at the NCAA. I think it's a joke. So I don't blame any coaches for pushing the envelope. No one pushes the envelope better than Urban Meyer. And he loaded and brown bagged his team at Florida and then Ohio State, as he should. And he kicked everyone's ass. But college football, unlike the pros, is not fair. Some teams have bigger payrolls than the other. And Urban was smart enough to get with programs that always had elite payrolls. And he had better teams than 99% of the teams he ever played. The deck was always stacked on his side. And he utilized his big program to his benefit, rightfully so. Had good coaching staffs, kicked ass and take names. In pro football, that's not the way. Other teams, they drive big cars and live in big homes too. They have $10, $12 million coaches as well. So the parity in the NFL is relatively equal. And Monday through Saturday, when you're getting ready for the game, there is no recruiting. There's no, in the middle of October or November, calling people and trying to convince them to come play for you. The NFL is a scheme game. Andy Reid, Sean Payton, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Cliff Kingsbury, Bill Belichick, they scheme Monday through Saturday getting ready for the game. They psychoanalyze their football team. They try to get them prepared for what is coming from the opponent schematically. Try to put them in the best positions schematically. That is the sport of football on Sundays. And Urban Meyer, his best skill by a mile was recruiting because he always had advantages at those programs. Hashtag the brown bag. There is no brown bag in the NFL. They're called direct deposits. You pay taxes on those. And you have a salary cap. And every team has the ability to sign players under that salary cap. And you don't get to, pick the best players when you're at Ohio State, right? The Jaguars, because you suck, you draft first in the round. Well, he is, and once you get to the NFL, like what you did in college, or even vice versa, though younger people are more influential. So when you say you coach in the NFL, it's a big deal to college people, right? College players, recruiting them. When you go from college to the pros, every guy that's a pro is, one, being paid, and a lot of them played at high-level colleges. Think of the Jacksonville Jags. Their most talented player is their quarterback, who played at Clemson, who won a national championship, and who did not lose for 3 years, who played for Dabo Swinney, a guy that's making $10+ million, right? So when Urban Meyer says, I've won a national championship, I'm a winner, Trevor Lawrence goes, so have I. But the story that came out that said he treats his assistant coaches like shit, let me say this. A lot of coaches are hard on their assistants. That's not new. The greatest coach in the history of the league, Bill Belichick, he's difficult on people. The guy that he modeled his coaching after, Bill Walsh, was notorious for being hard on assistants because that way he didn't have to yell at the players. He would yell at the assistant, and then the player would feel bad for his position coach and then work harder. It was like he was playing psychological games. Urban Meyer, the story that came out was that he called his assistants losers. Then Jay Glazer said on television that he talked to Urban Meyer on the phone, and Urban Meyer did not deny that he did that. And then Jay Glazer kind of came back and said that he didn't actually call them losers. Regardless, I don't give a shit the semantics of what he actually called them. Here's the reality in that room. They have basically co-coordinators, right? Darrell Bevell and Brian Schottenheimer. Both those guys have accomplished infinitely more than Urban Meyer ever has in the NFL. Brian Schottenheimer was the offensive coordinator on the Jets team that went to 2 AFC Championship games. Darrell Bevell was the offensive coordinator on the Seattle team that, I don't know, won a Super Bowl and went back to another. Urban Meyer, in his life, has won 2 fucking games in the National Football League. Urban Meyer has no business being in the NFL beside him just being a famous guy. He is completely over his head. He does not call the offense. He obviously knows nothing about defense. And his greatest attribute, recruiting, is useless in the NFL. Because that's not the way you build your team. You don't get to brown bag anybody. You have to just pay them with actual money that everyone else can also pay them too, right? There's no, well, we can afford to give him more in the offshore bank account. And honestly, the brown bag is a little outdated too. We talk about offshore accounts. But Urban Meyer is, one, he's just an asshole. And listen, there's nothing wrong with being an asshole if you're good. Like Bill Belichick and Nick Saban, their assistants. You know when you're working for them, they are going to lead to wins. Well, if I'm Brian Schottenheimer, if I'm Darrell Bevell, or if I'm some of these players who have played in the NFL for several years and you're just being an asshole, why do I think you're good at your job? Because you won national championships at Ohio State? I do not give a shit. If I'm Brian Schottenheimer, what does beating James Franklin on some random Saturday in early October mean for us when we're playing Carson Wentz and Frank Wright or Mike Vrabel and Ryan Tannehill? It has zero carryover. None. And he keeps hanging his hat like I'm some winner. Yes, you were a winner in a different industry. And we all know this. Anyone listening to this, if you've ever worked for someone and they're being a dick to you, if they are really accomplished or really good at their job, it's easier to suck it up and take it. Well, when someone is being, you are an underling of someone, and there's a hierarchy in any industry, and that person is being hard and an asshole to you, and you don't think they know what they're talking about. And I think it's fair to think if you're Darrell Bevell and Brian Schottenheimer, they could be 6 months or almost a year into being around Urban Meyer, and they could go, I don't think this guy has any clue what he's doing. In the NFL, we've seen it before. Look at Matt Rule. Matt Rule is completely over his head. That team is getting throttled every single week. He has no idea how to fix the quarterback. Why? Because he doesn't have any options. The option he tried utterly failed. And I like Matt Rule a lot more than Urban Meyer to coach my NFL team. But these guys are lifetime college coaches. And they come to Sunday, and it's just a different animal. You know who doesn't have to worry about yelling at his coaches? Andy Reid. It's not the way he does it. Now, that's part of his personality. I know Kyle can be hard on coaches. But there's no one that works for Kyle Shanahan that goes, you know what Kyle Shanahan knows? He knows how to call plays. He is specifically doing something on this staff that I can't do. What the fuck is Urban Meyer doing? He's a CEO leader. Well, no one even likes him. Part of you could be like, well, Brian Kelly was a dick. Clearly, some of the players like Brian Kelly because what he's doing works. Again, on Saturdays. I think Urban Meyer is just in the deep end, and he doesn't know how to swim. Now, if you put him back at college, if he would have gone to Oregon, if he would have gone to Texas, if he would have gone to LSU, he would win because he can use his greatest advantage. His greatest advantage in the NFL does not exist. He has no advantages. Honestly, one of his biggest advantages on Saturdays is his name. Hey, I'm Urban Meyer. I walk in, if he just would have became the head coach at LSU or Florida, right? He could just walk into a recruit's home. I'm Urban Meyer, national championships. When he looks at Marvin Jones and says, Marvin, I've won 3 national championships. You know what Marvin Jones would say? What does that mean to me? I'm playing this week, I'm playing Xavier Howard. Or this week, we're playing the Patriots. Why do I care what you did at Ohio State 5 years ago? It's irrelevant. And you're just seeing a guy that's kind of a human. He's just a fraud. He's honestly a great salesman who I don't think could coach his way out of a wet paper bag right now. And these stories aren't coming out randomly. People there can't stand him. You talk about a toxic individual, but ultimately the reason this is bad is because he has no clue how to fix it. Why is this going to get any better next year? Hell, we saw it with Matt Rule, who clearly is not as big of a dick. He has no clue what he's doing. And he's destined to win 6 games his second year. It's just, what I would recommend to some of these guys, if you're making huge money, as Urban was and as Matt Rule was in college, stay. Just make huge money, win your games, compete for national championships, stay in your lane. Like, there's nothing wrong. I used to really worry about getting pigeonholed when someone's like, stick the football. And I'd be like, I know basketball. Especially when I was working in the radio. I don't even care anymore. But if you can make $8, $9, $10, $12 million and get pigeonholed as a college coach, who cares? Do you think Nick Saban is worried about being pigeonholed? He could only get it done at Alabama. Google his bank account. Google his salary. Google Tuscaloosa Mercedes-Benz owned by Nick Saban. You think he thinks about it for 1 second? Urban Meyer tried to prove himself because his ego's massive and he's got hit directly in the mouth and proven you don't belong on Sundays. Go back to Saturdays, you dick. I mean, it's one thing to be a curmudgeon like Belichick. He kicks everyone's ass, and he has for 2 decades, and he's doing it again. And honestly, Belichick, if you talk to all the players that have played for him, I played golf a month ago with Shane Vereen. He's well-liked. Urban people can't stand this guy. Cannot stand him. So there's nothing like being a loser and people don't like you. Not a good combination. Thanks for watching 3 and Out. You can check out the podcast below in the description. And make sure you subscribe right now to the Volumes YouTube channel.